And we're live. All right.
Nice.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the next episode of the Cymatics Show. I probably have the most requested guests of all time, Virtual Riot. How's it going, man?
Hello. I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. Dude, people, I kid you not, every time I ask, because we'll do posts like, hey, who should we bring on? Virtual Riot, Virtual Riot. Everybody's like, been asking like crazy.
That's sick. Oh, that's great to hear. Okay, now I'm here. Let's go.
Yeah. So, yeah, guys, we got him out here, which kind of on like a ninja mission, flying in.
Oh, yeah.
Flying in last night and then coming.
It just fit in really well. We just played our first Disciple Kingdom tour show in New York, and so it wasn't that far off.
Oh, y'all came from New York?
Yeah.
Oh, how was that? How was that show?
That was good. That was the first time with our new stage. So we got like this big stage that looks like a castle. So it was a bit of like we learned a lot about like what can go wrong, but it was great. It was really packed. Lights looked amazing. I love the stage design. Loads of people.
Dude, yeah. Isn't it funny? Like we just did our event, and there were so many things I saw. Like, oh, we should have done this better. Or like, oh, this thing could have, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I feel like, especially if you have a tour with a stage, you kind of learn throughout the tour what to improve, and then like halfway through the tour, you're at like the spot where okay, now we've like evened out all the starting problems, and then you can like add on to that, like, oh, it would be so cool if we also had this or also had that. And but like every show is a little bit better than the last, I feel like. So I hope it's going to be the same for this tour. I bet it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, it sounds fucking awesome. For those of you guys who don't know, I mean, Virtual Riot is a sound design legend, CRM mastermind. Did you, so out of curiosity, I mean, you're obviously, you know, you have a career that's like, I think propelled by like your technical expertise. What made you go into that like sound design direction versus like maybe some of the other, you know, producers who do more stuff that's like more melodic, maybe, let's say, or maybe more instrument based? Like what drew you to that?
Yeah, I think I always liked and like had an interest in engineering in general. So when I was younger, I used to have like these like scientific toys where you have like a little bit of a circuit board and you can like make little basic circuits or something. I think I was like playing around with that before I even got into music at all. And that was like super interesting. And I probably would have gone down an engineering route if it wasn't for music at some point. Like my closest friend back then in school is now doing engineering full time, and he's probably going to end up working at either Microsoft or like programming robots that assemble cars or something. Like he's an absolute madman. But I guess that's like what started the engineering aspect. Then started playing piano when I was 6, and then got into producing when I was 11, and then I don't know.
So wait, how old are you now?
25.
Oh, so you've been doing this for a long minute.
Yeah, it sounds like when someone asks me how long you've been producing and I say 14 years, it sounds really long, but I feel like the first couple of years don't count that much because it wasn't really producing. It was like just trying to learn what every button does. And for the first 2 years or something, I was basically just trying to remake Dream Theater songs that I liked in Cubase LE with free plugins. It sounded terrible. I don't have any of those anymore, sadly.
Yeah. So my question is that wait, did your parents get you into the piano lessons? Was that like before?
So I have an older brother and an even older sister, and when I was 6 years old, they were having piano lessons at our house, and I was just watching them have piano lessons. And then I was 6, and I was just approaching my mom, and I was like, "Oh, I want piano lessons too," kind of just because I was that young, and then your older siblings are like cool, and you want to do whatever they do, and my mom was like, "Okay, all right, here you go."
Yeah. Do you think that, okay, so I think you hear it maybe a lot in your music because a lot of like guys, I've seen some problems with like, because we just have such a big dubstep audience, people might conquer a little bit the sound design, but they can't pull it together musically. But I feel like your music and melodies and stuff really make a lot of sense and like fit well with the tracks. Yeah. Do you think it comes from that or?
Yeah, definitely. A big part as well was these 3 years I spent practicing for a church organ license. So this sounds weird, but this was the only way to make money on the side back then when you were like younger and I was in this tiny village. So you could either distribute newspapers at 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning, sucks, or play the church organ on a Sunday morning, cool, when you can already play piano. But for them to be able to pay you legally, you need to have an official organ player license. So I started going to this course where you had to go for 3 years with an exam at the end to get the license, and then they could pay you. And that whole course was just 99% music theory. But it was really helpful. Like the final exam was a polyphonic, like dictate of 8 bars of music. You had to like write down just by ear. That was super sick. So that helped me just as much as the 10 years of piano leading up to that. Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff before even going into like heavy production. I mean, especially dubstep and all that I think kind of built, it sounds like. Yeah, damn, 3 years for organ.
Yeah, all the old stuff as well as like it's terribly produced. All the old stuff on SoundCloud, like the further you go back, I think the first upload is from 8 years ago or 9 years ago. But it's still very musical because I would just play stuff on the piano and then just have the MIDI and then work with that. So I would always just start songs from a piano piece or something or from jam.
Yeah. So I think I was looking at an interview. You're from a real small town.
Yeah.
Like nothing like what we see Atlanta, LA, or something. You want to talk about like kind of your hometown and where you kind of came from?
Yeah,
I think you said something. I think it might have been that Sidewalk Talk interview about having more cows than. You said something like that, having more cows than people in town.
Yeah. If you just like drive around, and it takes you a half an hour to get to the next village over. I don't know how it compares to like, for example, where Willie grew up, barely alive. He came up from like Great Barrington in Massachusetts. I don't know how the size compares. I've never been there, but maybe it feels like the same kind of deal.
Interesting.
Middle of nowhere kind of.
So you'd never think a beast dubstep producer is going to be coming out of that town.
I don't know. Sometimes that helps if you're in the middle of nowhere for like. The creative inspirational spark. I don't know if you're like in the middle of nowhere. I mean, listen to Culprit, for example. Like his music just sounds like what you would come up with if you live like in the middle of depressing England or something. I don't know. His music sounds like rainy and foggy, but like it has like this also because there's like nothing else to stimulate you that much. You need to do that yourself.
Yeah.
So your music becomes way more stimulating that way. And then here, if you're in, I don't know, if you're in a busy city, maybe it's a little counterproductive to that. So it can be good to be far away from everything.
What kind of music were you first like putting out there?
Like what I was making first?
Like in the early, like I'm talking like, when did you start putting out music first of all? Because if you started when you were 11, when did you start like, okay, I'm going to upload this to the internet, see what happens?
I think I had a MySpace when I was 14.
Oh, shit.
Under a different name. It was Key Generator because of like all the software cracks from back in the, and Key Generator music being like chiptune music, and I like chiptune a lot.
I love chiptune. Have you seen the people with the Game Boys who like hack the old school Game Boys?
Yeah, and there's like the LSDJ cartridge, right? Dude, where you can like...
the first time I saw my friend pull out one of those, it was like his apartment stoner friends. He's like, dude, look at this thing. And he was like making music on it. And I was like, dude, what?
There's like modified ones where it's like an RCA output on the bottom of them and stuff. So that's super cool. I think Lee Must Die, he does that a lot when he's on like long train rides or something. Like 90% of his songs started as a Game Boy song.
Really?
Like Gem Shards is like, there's like a Game Boy version of it. That is the original version of the song. And it's so cute. It sounds so great. I love it. Must be a lot of work though, because it's basically like working in.
It's kind of frustrating looking, like the way it's designed.
It's like those old tracker programs where where it was like just scrolling down these programming steps, and on every step would be like a 16th note or a 32 note, and then it would just like scroll down, and in every spot it would say exactly which note is triggered at what velocity, and it would just look horrible, but. I guess it had its charm. I never worked with a program like that. But.
So what was the first tracks you remember putting out?
On the
and did they do well?
Space, it was, or even on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube at the same time. Like I had a different channel. It was just stuff. It was really weird. It was like kind of rocky a little bit because I grew up on like Dream Theater and Spock's Beard, so progressive rock and progressive metal. But all very melodic, so that was kind of what I was trying to do. And my brother helped me pick the first MIDI keyboard for me, and we made sure it was one that also had sounds. It was like a little bit of like a live keyboard or like a rompler. It was a Korg X50. I think Linkin Park use it for their live shows as well. So it has like a bunch of sounds, like everything from like all pianos, guitars, basses, xylophones, but they are all kind of shitty, but at least it has a lot. So I would use all of those to try to write songs by first recording the MIDI, then cleaning up the MIDI, then sending the MIDI back into the thing and recording the audio out of the keyboard, and then make a song like that.
Into Cubase?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, like Cubase LA4 or something at the time. Sadly, a few, like, the uploads of those are all gone because someone hacked my old YouTube, like, with no malicious intent. It was just like, suddenly every thumbnail was replaced by a Russian porn thumbnail or something. Like, It was probably some bot who did that. But I still have the songs from back then. Maybe I'll post them somewhere.
No, that's interesting. So at what point in your career did you start, like, you would say, like, taking off? Like, what was the first song? Because I'm not sure the early stage. Were you just still releasing alone, things were taking off, or was it not until?
I think what helped a lot was Energy Drink and Idols. Like the Idols mashup. Those two were definitely like bigger spikes. Up until then, it was like starting to get a little bit better. Like the first releases were on like quote unquote releases on Phantom Hertz recordings or something, which I only found because I Googled dubstep label and went through a list on Wikipedia and picked one that I liked.
That's
and emailed
hilarious.
the guy, and he was like, "Yeah, sure." And they even made artworks for the releases that were pretty cool, to be fair. And then I just uploaded the stuff to YouTube, and then slowly that got like the first EP had like 5,000 views, maybe 10,000 views on one song, and then the next one had like 30,000 or 40,000, and then I just started uploading stuff, not releasing it on label anymore, just like uploading shit on SoundCloud and YouTube, and then eventually like the Complextro stuff took off a little more.
Yeah, it's crazy. How did those? Because I know it's probably a lot different now. How did it feel back then to get those 40,000 views, or even 5 or 10,000? Was it crazy? You were like,
it was super sick. I would read every comment. I still do. Like whenever a new track comes out, I just love like going on SoundCloud and looking at every single comment pop up while the song plays, because it's like what makes it all worth it. A little bit and motivates me to keep going. So yeah.
No, yeah.
Always appreciate any amount of views.
Because even for like Cymatics, I still remember like making the post that's like, yeah, we just got 10,000 likes on our page. Like, thanks so much. And then just seeing now, it's like, oh shit, it's come a long way.
The other day I scrolled back on the Facebook timeline on my Facebook page to like the early beginnings where I would post like, oh, I built the Skrillex logo in Minecraft. 4 likes.
Watch that post blows up now. Everybody goes back to it and it starts popping back in. There's been some funny stuff like that, by the way. Of like, I think it was like
every year someone comments on the same picture and then everyone goes back.
Yeah, but no, there's been some blow ups like Coca-Cola. Like some guy quit his job, but he had like the Coca-Cola fan page access to it or something. So like the day before he quits, he posts something goofy, like some sort of stupid shit. Sweet. But then Coke doesn't know it's like way down their timeline. So then like, I remember like everybody commented on this thing and they just fucking blew up and it just made them look so bad. But it's like, what can you do? No, that's pretty crazy. So getting good at sound design. All right, I want to tackle this entire journey because I think that sound design, especially a lot of guys in EDM, especially want to make I think dubstep first off, and like a lot of those heavier sound design based genres are, I mean, you can kind of give your 2 cents on it, but I think it's a lot harder than other genres. Like the barrier to entries, like you better, work your face off for 4 years and not even, really think about releasing stuff. So you want to talk about like the journey to getting good at sound design? Because I think that, you have all this like kind of stuff you were getting good at, the organ, music theory, playing with, Cubase and all that. Then where does the point, how did your sound design journey look at the beginning? Like what got you into it?
I think, so I tried to understand sound design with the first plugins I had already, but I had barely any clue. Like it took me probably the first 4 years to figure out what a cutoff and a resonance knob do. Or something like that was from age, let's say 11 to 15. Like by the age of 15, I like slowly understood. Oh, okay, this is kind of what that does, and oh, okay, all right. I would like dive into the menu on the Korg X50 and try to figure out if I can like make sounds with that, but it was all sample based, so that was a bit hard. Eventually, I think even around the time I got into proper sound design with Massive, I also bought a Nord Rack 2. Which is like the rack version of a Nord Lead 2, the red synthesizer from Clavia. And it is not an analog synth, but it has the same setup. It's digital, but it's like basically like an analog synth. There's like 3 oscillators and you have filters and modulators and everything. And luckily it came with a great manual that explained the basics of everything really well, like a little like university paper almost. It was sick. It was really cool and super helpful. And after that, I was like, oh, cool. So Massive is kind of just like that as well, just a little more complex. And then still Massive had like so many secrets that I had no idea what they did at the time. Like, oh, what is a comb filter? Like, why does it sound so weird? Why can't I get it to do anything different? Because I had like no idea how that shit worked. It was very much just trial and error at that point. And always just like trying to guess what something does until I find a plugin that shows it to me visually or I actually look it up.
Well, that's how I felt about Serum. Serum was like, oh God, this is like, it's so much easier in terms of like understanding it, just visually being able to see it versus having to like kind of be a little bit blind, you know what I'm saying, versus solely on the ears.
That helps a lot. That's right.
So it sounds like you got, so how was it when you got like your hands on Serum? Was it like all of a sudden it became a whole nother world because you're coming from like, the people who are good at Massive and all that kind of stuff were great. That's like Drew. Drew's a classic, that type, you know, got good at Massive, and all of a sudden Serum came. It was like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, no, when Serum came, I was deep into Massive. Like at the time I put out like, I did so many Massive preset packs back then for like another company that sold really well on Loop Masters. And so I was really good at Massive at that point, and then Serum was just like everything I dreamt of at that point, and just like I think I bought it a week after it came out.
Oh really?
Like, I somewhere I saw it and I immediately got it, and I was just like, yes, this is exactly everything I wanted from Massive, like on top of Massive at that point. So yeah, that was just great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. How did I mean, you're the kind of producer who's not just putting out music, but kind of going hard at YouTube specifically, right?
Yeah, I need to upload more there,
dude. I think
use that channel in a while.
Well, dude, the thing is that everything you post pops. He's shaking his head over. Was that a yes confirmation?
yeah.
Dude, I mean, everything you're posting is popping. You know what I'm saying? It's not like those producers who watch it aren't like ticket buyers because they love coming to the shows. They're in the front row. You know what I'm saying? How do you look at things like YouTube? Is it, you think, helping your career a lot? Do you like balance those things?
I mean, it has helped me up until now a lot. I think YouTube is the place also where I have the most followers overall in terms of like, I think SoundCloud is at 300,000 right now, but YouTube is even a little bit more in terms of the subscribers. But I should be posting more. I know one day, like a while ago, I made a text file where I just like wrote down lots of video ideas, like for like a couple of episodes of Studio Times about different topics and stuff. And I was all about like, yeah, let's get those recorded. But I just could not find the time at all between touring and making music and everything. And I really want to do that at some point, like a proper series of videos, because then I go on YouTube and I watch other tutorials and I watch like Andrew Huang. And I'm like, that's so sick. I love how he does that, how it's like super captivating and entertaining. Then every time I watch an Andrew Huang video, I'm like, I want to do that again. Damn it.
Yeah. Dude, I think it's so good, man. Just because like, so here's my, like a lot of great teachers, you know, sometimes are like decent producers. They're not necessarily the best, but they do great for the beginner market likes to watch.
Yeah.
But when you got somebody at your skill level, if you put like effort into like trying to be a great creator as well, I think it's like the holy grail of 2020, 2019 strategy, you know? Put out more. By the way, if you guys are watching this, we're getting him to do it now while he's here, blasting through videos, showing off all the secret sauce.
Force me to do it.
Yeah. Well, dude, the way I look at it is that at least you're playing the game. There's a lot of like music people who only rely on the music, and I think that like, I mean, I get your take on this, but I think like that's kind of weak when video is such a big factor. You know, and just video being video and personality playing such a big role in your brand. You know, like for example, I tell people like there's some people that maybe never heard your song, but they hear your story on this, and this video piece of conversation becomes like a gateway drug to the music itself. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's cool. I see that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just think more, dude. You know what you need to do? That would be really fire. Dude, you don't even need to like make content. You just need to do your own thing and just get a full-time camera dude.
Yeah, who like just hovers behind me.
Dude, I'm serious, man. Like, so I learned that from Gary Vee. This fucker like just documents fucking everything.
Yeah, and then you just do like a highlight reel out of like.
Well, it's their job to post-produce. Yeah, like right now, all we're doing is documenting a conversation. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We're not working.
Kind of like Jazz Davis with Will Smith.
Yeah, exactly. You just do your thing, because like you gotta think, man. Like people not only want to hear your song, but like I was talking to What's So Not about this the other day. It's like also thinking about the different situations people consume you, right? So one of those might be, for example, when I go to eat, I actually watch something. I always watch some YouTuber or somebody. Same. Yeah. Everybody does it, right? Yeah. So like, you know, when somebody's going to go work out or listen to music, they might have you on their mind, but then all of a sudden, what about when they're going to go eat? They want to pop on like a video version of that. Yeah, true. And then sometimes it's like, they're not always looking for music. Sometimes they're in the car. They're actually just trying to listen to a podcast. So maybe they want to hear like, you know, the audio version of your little vlog or something. Just want to listen to shit. Dude, people love hearing that stuff, man.
I see why this is like the perfect middle ground then, because you've got like the video and the audio kind of, you can choose how you want to consume this.
Right? Oh, podcast is holy grail. Podcast, because you get video, you get the audio, and then I get Instagram, I get like 400 clips from this little thing.
I see that.
Dude, we gotta get him on the full documentation.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta make like a plan for next year and see.
Dude, people, if you guys are
No, I know.
right now, whatever videos you guys want from Virtual Riot, please comment. He will read them and hopefully go make them, not more tracks. But tracks are good too. I mean, I'm not saying they're bad. Yeah. I just think even live streaming, man, live streaming's.
Yeah. I started to like, if I live stream on YouTube, I started to then just like post it on the channel so that it's up there for people to watch later on, and then. Like, it's not edited that well, so people in the comments will post, like, time marks to, like, good spots or something, but I should, No, that was edited.
Dude, I've seen, like, ripped live streams of yours go to, like, 100,000 views.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
keeps happening.
No,
that's great, though. I love that.
Yeah. So, out of curiosity, so you've had a bunch of great collabs and stuff. Who have you been in the studio with that you're like, man, this guy or girl is fucking amazing? Like you've been really impressed by, like, is there anybody that stands out?
Obviously, Skrillex. Because he is just incredibly fast and amazing to look at when he produces. Because he is just his intuition is insane.
Really?
Yeah. I've never seen that with anyone else. That's really like very different from anyone else.
Is the process different from like your process?
It's just way more intuitive. Like, he'll just throw stuff in and then immediately make it sound like it belongs in the song. Like, everything is with a lot of intention. It's less, how when you're like in the mood for, I'm gonna make a cool rhythm tune, and then you just spend like an hour in Serum trying to make a cool sound. And then you kind of try to shape like this random idea you have in your head, and eventually you'll find something. Oh, this is a cool rhythm now. This is a cool sound. And then you go from there and slowly build it. For him, I feel like it's way faster. Where it's just like, I don't know where he gets his ideas from, but
I mean, it has to come. I think maybe coming from making so many different fucking genres.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because then he's seen like the best options in this genre of music, in dubstep and more of like the pop style music.
Yeah.
And eventually it's like, it's more pulling stuff out that's already there.
What it's definitely taught me was to disregard mixing and sound design when you're in the songwriting mood or in the songwriting headspace, to not get hung up on something that'll like stop the creative process of like laying out your track. And then later on you go back and then you start mixing stuff and maybe making some sounds. But yeah.
Well, that's one of the things I want to ask you. So like, how do you split up? Because I see in your videos, you're talking about pulling in like your sound design session separate. So like you might do a sound design session, but when you're going to make the song, you're just dragging stuff you already made. You want to talk?
I try that. But I also still get lost in like, I'll be working on something and for half an hour, it's like growing and growing. And then it's like, oh, and now I want a sound that does this. And then I'll be stuck there for 3 hours just because it has to be exactly that way. That still happens. That's fine. Usually you can get out of that afterwards. There's some techniques you can do which can force you to make sure you're not get stuck in something like that, where you set yourself a timer like on, let's say, 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes you have to stop working on whatever you're working right now and move to a different element, or like add something to the bit you've been working on so that you don't get stuck in something. So that's kind of nice.
No, that's a pretty cool takeaway. Is how important is doing for somebody trying to get to like your style of music, I would say, because there's a lot of people wanting to go in that direction. How important is like just focusing on sound design versus like creating music? Because I think that I'm just guessing they need to be a little separate. Like Drew was like that, especially just doing hard sound design sessions.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, I've always think a good idea is better than like the idea matters rather than a crazy sound that I don't know is like mildly different from another or that you've spent hours on. I think it's always bad if you have to explain someone why it's cool what you made.
Oh yeah.
So if you have to explain to them, I made this sound this and that way, and it was like really hard, and it's like this weird technique with these two filters and so on and so on and so on. That doesn't matter if it's not a cool track. Kinda.
Yeah.
In the end, a little bit. Like it's cool from the engineering standpoint, and lots of other people can learn from it if you share what you did in the preset and so on and so forth. But if you want to if you wanted to release a song, then those are just all the sound design is just tools for you to then ultimately create a better song.
Do you think a lot of newer producers are missing that idea part? Because from sound design, I hear a lot of people like trying to put in the right sounds. For example, just using, let's say, Cymatics or even your sounds, but not understanding the context of like making it sound good, like the feeling. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like your music, though, you've added a lot of like feeling to it still.
I feel like the impression that there's more of that where people just like glue sounds together or samples together comes just from the fact that it's more accessible to everyone, and everyone has like good performing laptops slowly. So there's just more of that naturally happening. But yeah, that's a hard topic, man.
Yeah, I mean, I just see so many producers who are kind of like it's specifically in like the dubstep side of things, because it's so funny. Hip hop, way different scene. Like those guys, like for example, you talk about like a melody loop in EDM, and people like religiously want to like kill you because they're like, don't use that. No, you make everything from scratch. Hip hop guys are like, fuck yeah, I get you know what I'm saying? Great melody loops and stuff, because it's the heart of it comes from a sample based thing, sample based culture.
Yeah, I'm more on that side. I like that more actually.
I'd like that more too. I think
I had this phase for like a bit when after Serum came out, where I was like, I have to make everything from scratch, like in my songs, like the kick, the snares, the hi-hats, everything's got to be like self-made for some reason. I don't know why I thought that, but it was helpful, because then I learned how to make kicks and snares and hi-hats. Like I spent a day trying to make hi-hats from scratch, so I actually Googled how an 808 makes a hi-hat and how the oscillators are set up and like what the circuit looks like. Then I tried to rebuild that with an FM synth, with FM8 or Citrus, and it actually worked. I got a full like open 909 out of it that sounds exactly like a 909 just by complete fluke. I didn't try to like replicate any exact settings, but that was super cool. So it helped me to like learn a little bit of that again, but then I noticed how I was limiting myself a lot with that. And yeah, and there's still a way to, if you find a melody loop or something that you like and you throw it into your track, to still make that your own.
So you think that's a bad stigma that the EDM community has a little bit?
Yeah.
I think it's huge right now, especially like your audience and my audience probably are the culprits of thinking that, actually, I would say.
Yeah, I know. I guess I was like it was a little bit of my fault as well at some point, because when I was like on the whole, you have to make everything yourself trip, like I guess maybe I portrayed this image of you have to make everything yourself. So then everyone thought, better not use any like melodic loops or something. Yeah. But then now I'm making sample packs, and it's like, hey, but use my stuff. So I don't want to be this hypocrite where it's like, don't make everything yourself, but also buy my shit.
Yeah. So all right. So when it comes to like packs or even sounds in general, is there any tips you have for people who want to make EDM and stuff, for just getting a better ear for sample selection? Because I mean, your mix is fire, and I know that a lot of people aren't even working with the right types of sounds. Is there anything that you might have for like sample selection, like the stuff you're looking for, good kicks, good snares?
Yeah, good sample packs are hard to find. I can get religious about sample packs, because like back in the day when I remember when I bought my first sample pack. I was on Loop Masters back then, and BHK was putting out all the Rough Connections packs, and I think the BHK Fidget pack was the first one I bought. That was so cool, because it was like Fidget House, and it sounded really cool, and all the bass noises, and all the BHK Rough Connections packs were like drum and bass packs, but they sounded like Noisia level at the time. Like that was when Noisia put out Stigma, like around that time period. And all the sample packs on Loopmaster sounded like that, had like the same quality, and there were some like really creative ones too, like the slow motion one, Tokyo Soundscapes, that I'm still using, which is like very timeless, because it's just, you can use it for any kind of genre and stuff, and it's well produced. It has its own flavor, like its own style. It's almost like an album, like a music piece. It's like it's that one is literally a piece of art, and there's no other pack I've ever seen like that. So I miss packs that are like that, where it's like, they're really useful. They have like their own style, but also like they don't color your songs that way that it sounds so like, oh, he's only used that one pack. And it's like, and it also brings something new to the table.
Yeah. So, something we've been doing a lot that I saw like you guys are kind of doing more too, instead of like, so we used to have a team of like 40 guys who all work on it. They're all like veteran producers and stuff, like great producers, all work and contribute stuff. Now what Drew's doing is he just built out that whole studio, and instead of getting like something random sit online, because the synergy is not as good there, we just bring in the guy. You know, instead of some guy sending in loops, it's like, fuck it, let's just hire the professional guitarist for a couple hours, or like Grammy-nominated pianist, because the Grammy-nominated pianist is going to dominate the producer drawing in little shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just one thing for us that we've kind of been fucking around with. And it kind of is like we're trying to go from like the sample pack company to more of like the Omnispheres and the like high-end contact libraries because they're, I don't know, kind of interesting.
Hit me up when you're doing that. I've been learning contact scripting.
Oh, really?
Like for years back when I was 17 or 18, I got deep into it. And I made some contact instruments that are... really cool.
Yeah. Dude,
with like my own custom scripts and stuff, but I've never sold them anywhere.
Dude, I think, well, the cool thing about Contact is at least you can get the free player and then you can make something cool because one thing for like Serum, even if you're selling Serum sounds, people have to have Serum. And I know you can, get off Splice for $8, but there's still like a barrier to entry.
But with Contact, you can get the free player.
Yeah, so you get a bigger market to play with your sounds.
Exactly. No, that's cool. Absolutely. I made some cool instrument for Contact one time. Like it wasn't sold or anything. It was just for myself, but that was really cool. I was at a recording studio in Berlin where I did an internship, and I just had most of the day for myself, and I could just do whatever I wanted. So they gave me a studio room, and then one day I wanted to sample like a frying pan that sounded really cool. I was like, I want to do like the multi-layer sampling with like the velocities and everything in Contact. So I recorded 10 velocities, but then also 10 round robins. So 100 samples of just the same exact frying pan. And then like I sorted them kind of by ear and then dragged them all in and spread them out. And then the pitch up and down is just like the internal Contact pitching algorithm, like Time Machine Pro 2 or something. But it sounds so sick because even if you hit the same key at the same velocity 10 times in a row.
Oh, you're saying round robin as if
it always triggers a different sample. So even for the same velocity, there are 10 different variations. So it sounds absolutely natural. It sounds like a really good Omnisphere patch.
Yeah.
And it's not that big, it's like 50 megabytes or something. And it's just this one object. So you can do that with anything that has a remote harmonic sound to it. You can just go and deep sample it like 100 times. And then you have this super detailed sounding instrument out of that.
Yeah. See, that's the shit that's been, so we've been doing all the studio sessions eventually is leading up to like, okay, let's just build our own plugin and then do it that way. Because I think it's just, I mean, there's a lot more potential, you know what I'm saying? Plus, you still can have the cool like sample loops and stuff, but then just having that layer. That's pretty cool you did that with the frying pan, though.
Yeah, that worked. You can do it with like anything, pans, pots, glasses.
Yeah, or pianos. People do it like barely tap it.
Yeah,
no, that's definitely interesting. Do you have a so maybe switch topics a little bit? Touring.
Yeah.
So you probably see some of the craziest fucking crowd people. Because people breaking that rail, doing all kinds of like craziness. What is maybe like the craziest moment on stage? Let's do good and bad. So like good, like a moment where you're like, man, this is all, I can't believe I'm doing this. And then also like a moment that's like, this person's trying to attack me on stage or something.
Oh God, yeah. Good moments were, for example, I loved the show in Bangkok I had with. Who else was there? Willie, Barely Live, Dirty Phonics, and me. And so it was really packed. It was like 1,500, 2,000 people. And they broke the rail, tipped all the pieces over and sat on them. And the security was just like not caring at all. Like, you know how usually like at some concerts, they're like, oh, step back, like don't be so rough. And they're like super freaking out. And there they were just like, okay, now that you broke it, what are you going to do? Like people were just sitting on the pieces. No one was like storming the stage or anything. They were just like, oh, all right, no, damn it. We've got nothing to hold on to anymore. Okay, that's kind of bad. But it was really cool. It looked super sick because everything was just like in pieces in the front row. And security was just standing there like, okay, we've never seen anything like this. We don't know what to do. But if you're enjoying this, have fun. That was super fun.
What's what was like was that good or bad?
That was good.
That was good.
Or there was this other show, that was a while ago, like 3 years or something. I don't know where that was. It was called Internet 2.0. And this guy, Onyx the Fortuitous, did a speech before my set, which was sick. And it was really cold and it was outside. I was wearing a jacket while I was DJing. And at some point, just like 20 people were dancing on this like little area in front of the stage, and it was great because it was like so cold, and there was like a little fire pit in the distance. It was super nice. It was just a great ambience overall. No one was like chasing anyone off the stage because everyone was just like having really family friendly fun.
Yeah, no,
I love that. That was super cool.
What's the biggest crowd that you played for? Because I see you played for some really big ones, especially at festivals and stuff.
I'd say Bass Rush Massive. That was pretty big. Yeah, the one in San Bernardino before Excision. That was like
20,000.
I was gonna say Rampage.
And Rampage. Oh, yeah, that was like that's around the same number, right?
Was that like a surreal moment to just see that many people like jamming out to your music?
Yeah, that was huge. I got so nervous. I said the wrong words on the mic.
What, do you, what happened?
We at the time we signed. We had Panda Eyes signed to our label. Like he was just like we just signed him. He was like a new guy, and then Rossi was like, "Yo, grab the mic and like announce it." So because he was on stage too, and so I took the mic and I was like, "Yo, make some noise for a newest member, Diamond Eyes." Oh, and then like I still had the mic and I was like, "Oh fuck," and like you could hear it like on the live stream on TV and like everywhere. And I was just like, "Oh my god, I'm just dying in shame now." That was great.
They're
probably stupid. But yeah,
that's crazy. Is it? What do you think about those big crowds versus like a smaller, more intimate one? What do you like better?
It depends. Like it really depends. Like for both can be amazing fun. There's definitely a different dynamic sometimes when it's a bigger crowd. When it's a bigger crowd, you can't do like I feel like you can't do like very like I don't know intimate doubles or chops where it's like oh yeah it's like this one really out of the way rhythm tune with this other one and they work really well together and I found this mix up at home and then like if you're in a 300 people club where everyone is like basically staring at the deck sort of people are gonna go way more crazy if you do like some cool doubles or chops and then if it's like a huge crowd and no one can see your decks and everyone's really far away that doesn't have as much of an impact, but then again, the dynamic's a little bit different. You have to like play the whole set out a little different. Like with bigger crowds, I feel like it's more about building tension for a longer time, while in like a smaller club, you can be a little more experimental, a little more avant-garde, like try out a bit more. Yeah, I like both. I think both is really fun.
That's cool. Did you played at Lost Lands, right?
Not this year.
Dude, the Lost Lands fucking that thing's getting huge, man.
I was watching the live stream on YouTube. That was super fun actually. I was in the chat on YouTube on like the Lost Lands live stream chat with my official account and like talking to people and that was really nice. And then at some point the stream audio started to get really like broken. I don't know what was happening. Like one of the channels was cutting out and stuff. And I knew someone who was working the main stage there. So I just texted him from my couch like, hey, the stream audio is broken. He was like, yeah, all right, I'll radio them and let them know. And I was like on the chat, I was like, guys, I'm fixing it. I know someone. And then actually like it got fixed immediately and everyone was like, whoa, you did it. And I was like, oh shit, that might have actually worked. But then every time from there on out, when something was wrong with the stream, everyone was like, Val, where are you? Can you text your friend? So I was like, okay, cool. This is great. Helping out as much as I can.
Yeah, that's crazy. Dude, the entire EDM like festival scene is kind of crazy where it's like come from. I remember like going to my first festival, was it Tomorrow World? I don't know.
Like as an attendee?
Yeah, as like an attendee. Yeah. And I was just seeing that and I was like, what is this world? You know what I'm saying?
I never got to go to a festival, like as a festival goer.
Have you been at all still, or you just go play and
now I'm just playing. I've never been to like I go to a show if my friends are playing and we just want to like hang out and support your homies, you know. But
like in the crowd or in like backstage?
In backstage mostly.
You gotta get the crowd, man. The crowd's way more hype.
Yeah, no, I used to do that more. Now it's like getting a little harder.
No, yeah, I get it.
Enjoy yourself in the crowd, but it's fine. No, but like when I was younger, when I was like 15 or 16, I wanted to go to like metal shows because I was still like into heavy metal and screamo and shit. But I was too young to go to those shows in Germany. Like we had some big festivals like Rock am Ring or Wacken. But I was too young to go, and then when I was old enough to go, I was already into more electronic music. But for that, we didn't have that many festivals. I think the only place I went was one Skrillex show in Germany and one Bootshaus show before I started playing at Bootshaus, like my first shows. And then I've never been to like a show.
Interesting.
Anymore, I think.
I think there's always a funny dynamic, the fact that producers are practicing this skill, but essentially their career sometimes is based off a completely different skill. Like DJing and playing music is almost completely different than, sitting in FL or Ableton or something like that. Yeah,
I never really wanted to DJ, quote unquote, but it was like a necessity at some point. So I was just like, all right, okay, tractor and a controller. And then eventually that was too much of a hassle to carry around with me and to switch it up every time before other DJs. So switch to DJs and that's fine.
What was, how'd you get your first gigs? Like, what was your first gigs like?
The very, very, very first gig was in like a slightly larger city close to my hometown for $50. And I didn't even have a laptop, so I brought my tower PC, screen, keyboard, mouse, MIDI controller, all set up. It looked like it was going to be a network party, like I was going to play Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Really stupid. And only my friends came, with like 20 people or something. And then the guy after me was playing only vinyl, and he was looking at me like, what the heck is this kid doing here? So that was just an exercise. And then the next show was sold out Bootshaus, main floor.
Oh, was there a lot of people?
Yeah, it was like 1,500 people or something.
Holy shit.
And because that was like, I was talking to the owner before, and he was like, yeah, oh, your shit's cool. Like, your music is nice. We can like, maybe we'll like book you as an opener. And then he called me one day, and I was in Düsseldorf, like the next city over. And he was like, yo, Dr. P didn't make his flight. And we have Eptic, Figure, and we need one more to like replace Dr. P. And he was like, do you want to play? Do you have your controller with you? And I was like, I have my laptop, but not my controller. And he was like, come anyways. We can make the CDJs work as MIDI controllers. So I came in early. We set it all up. It worked when we set it up. When I started playing, it stopped working after like 5 minutes or so. And then for 55 minutes, I played with my trackpad in Tractor, just like using my mouse to move the faders around, which was really shitty, but I was on so much adrenaline in that moment.
Was it hype?
I did not care. It was great. Like only like, I guess maybe 10 people in the front saw what I was doing.
That's
so
funny.
they were like, not approving that, but because like Bootshaus is like a little older clientele, like people who actually look at like what the DJ is doing, and like they'll like it if someone's like spinning vinyl, I guess, as well. So a guy using his trackpad and
what the fuck's this
was
guy doing?
The worst.
Wait,
it was still really cool.
Wait, did people know you at that point, or was it just through a connection?
No, not at all.
Oh damn! You still got that show?
I just got really lucky.
What do you think newer producers need to do to kind of get their first gig, or like how should they approach their career? And that, like, because a lot of guys are in their bedroom right now in our audience, especially. Like, how do they get their first gig, and should they be aiming for that, or should they just go online?
I feel like now it is way different, and you can probably do a lot more if you, for example, live streamed a DJ set that you're like you DJing at home and you live stream it or something. Like if I had to start again now, that's what I would try.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the right way to go, but
yeah. Just because so many people.
If you don't have any like personal connection to anyone who is working at some sort of venue where you might get your foot in the door, I'd try that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be good. We need to get Rossi over here on an episode. That's what we're going to cover. Hopefully we get him on.
Yeah,
we'll see. I think he's liking it. You know what we need to do? We need to do 15 minutes and we'll just talk. And if we don't like it, we'll scrap it. Yeah.
He's really trying to get you in on this today.
Oh, yeah. Might as well. I mean, dude, it's a convo. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy. Like, we're just talking about random shit.
Need some alcohol. I might say yes.
Need some alcohol. We got that. Some guests require that.
What you got?
San took a couple sips. What do
you got?
What do we got? Jordan? He's looking for liquor. He's Germany here. I feel like he's looking for some vodka or some. Oh man, that'd be funny. We need to do an episode of somebody just taking shots like every 10 minutes.
Oh god, I remember. Yeah, we've had some interviews like that. I remember the Chode Gang interview. You were like, you'll pay for the shots if we all do 4 tequila shots each before the interview. So it was like 12 shots of tequila in total at the Mission Cantina.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah,
that was great.
Tequila messing me up. That'd be a good video though for YouTube.
Yeah, I wish we filmed that.
What?
It was just written out afterwards, which kind of
I make a drop. I make a drop sober, and I take 10 shots and then make a drop, and then you just do a comparison. That would go off. People would be like, "Dude." Oh man, that's funny. All right, let's see what have we not talked about here. Oh, dude, so I think something that's always fascinating is to hear how producers really manage their like time and stuff, especially being somebody who travels so much. Like, how do you like find time like on the road and stuff to still make good music without being so swamped by like the tour life draining you? You know.
So I bring a little speaker with me for hotel rooms so I don't have to work on the laptop speakers. That's kind of nice. So that's a little bit nicer on your ears. But then again, I also noticed that this little travel speaker, and I won't call out the company, but it sucks because it only plays the mids. I noticed. Really annoying. I mean, it's cool because then some people do that sometimes when they mix, that they only listen to the mids. But all the time it's not cool.
Yeah, I got a Bose portable speaker because I started MPC like finger drumming for a little bit, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna be like on
The
road.
Bose is fine. The Bose is stereo.
Yeah, no, but like that one I got, the lows are just like not even there.
Oh, okay.
It's like a PA, and I'm like, oh, I need something else.
And then also what helps are really good noise canceling headphones. Like I disregard the frequency, like I disregard a flat headphones for that, just because you need to be able to work on an airplane. So it's loud, and only with the noise canceling I can even manage to hear some sub, because otherwise the rumble from the plane is just going to drown everything out. So otherwise you can't work on the plane. There are still also plugins that help me a lot to make sure if I work on the road that it still sounds okay in a club. Let's say I'm flying to a gig and I have no way of listening to the song on monitors before the show. There's like, for example, either obviously referencing it with other tunes, or something like Tonal Balance Control by Ozone helps me a lot, because it doesn't change anything. It doesn't affect your sound, but it shows you like your dynamics over the frequency spectrum in comparison to other songs you've loaded in. But as your reference curve, you can load in an entire folder of songs, so you can tell it to analyze like all of your F minor dubstep songs if you have them sorted like that, and then it'll just give you a target curve that is like the average dubstep curve, and if you're like somewhere in there with your track, then you know it's going to be fine for that show. So that has helped me a lot to work on the road.
And what was that one called again?
Tonal Balance Control.
Yeah, we'll make sure to link that
It's
one up.
been with the Ozone bundle since Ozone 8, I think. And they might have updated it for Ozone 9, which just came out, I think.
Well, while we're on the topic, what's your favorite go-to plugins?
Fab Filter, just in general. If like I don't want to use the Ableton stock EQ because I need to be a little more precise, or I want to use the dynamic function, that one's the Fab Filter MB for de-essing and for vocals lots of times. Some waves for just like the vocal chain I have right now, like the Butch Vig one is cool for vocals, or the API 2500 compressor replica I use a lot. I don't know if it is any good compared to the actual analog model, but I don't care. I've been using it for so long. I have like my own preset that works, so just like stuck with that now. But I like that a lot. Any other cool like weird mixing stuff I use? Disperser by Kilohertz is really nice. That's like a weird effect for sound design to like make stuff sound a little different. And there's some cool ones to make stuff sound more organic if you have like a synth patch. I think this one is less of a secret now because everyone started using it. The Excellent Audio RC20, the retro color one, to like make everything sound a little more retro-y. That one's really cool.
They use that in hip hop a lot. I've been using that shit ton.
Yeah, 100%.
They throw it on everything.
Yeah. So, I loved how it has like this volume tracking for the noise part, kind of like erosion, where it adds white noise or whatever noise you want depending on the input volume. And I found this plugin called Texture by Devious Machines, which does exactly that. It's like erosion on crack. So you can add in any sample, and it'll play that sample on top of whatever input audio you have, depending on the volume of your input audio. So you can layer any noise on top of your, let's say, bass, and then you have a filter for that noise. So you'll be like, I only want like some top end sparkle to be added. Like you can add the sound of a wind chime, and then it'll be added to your bass only when the bass is playing, and only the high frequencies of those wind chimes. So now suddenly you have this little twinkle on top that's being added to your sound. It's super sick.
Yeah,
Love it.
That sounds awesome. Secret sauce right here on the Cymatics show, dropping it.
That's a really cool one I've been loving recently for sound design.
So what about, dude? So like I'm sure used to have some shittier mixes and stuff, but now your mix is fucking up there with the world class, I would say. So like newer producers, like what are you thinking? Like how do you take your mix? How do you keep improving your mix, like your mix specifically?
Loads of referencing to other songs, like loads of listening to other tunes and then to yours again and trying to like figure it out that way. Also, what helped me a lot was using a matching EQ. At first, like when I was on, I don't know, Ozone 4 or 5, but there's other plugins that have matching EQs as well. I would load in, for example, a Cohen soundtrack, and then I'd look at the matching EQ, and then I notice, oh, they have like this dip here and this little bump here, so this is kind of what's wrong with my mix down right now. And that would help me a lot, looking through other analyzers like a stereo imager to see how wide certain things are, and then trying to adjust yourself towards that a little bit helps. Listening with headphones so you get more of a feel for where stereo stuff sits. Like mostly inspiring for mixdowns for me were Mr. Bill Cohen Sound, obviously.
Dude, Mr. Bill does some super interesting stuff with his music.
Yeah, I love how like dry and precise his stuff is, especially like after that Culprit, of course. Like I only started listening to Culprit like I don't know, like a year ago. I was really late on that, but especially on his last EP, the mixdowns are so good. Everything's so tidy. It's almost too clean.
Dude.
Like some of the rhythm stuff right now is kind of like dirty sounding, but it's also cool. That
Yeah.
it sounds like that. And I also think that actually sticks out a little more in a live context than again, because if you like play for an hour and you play only songs that have been EQ'd and mixed and mastered the same way with like the same clean goal in mind, like I could say the cleanest Zomboy mixdown, for example, then that'll sound samey overall, just from the overall average frequency spectrum. But if you break it up with like something that sounds a little more harsh or aggressive or trashy, but still cool because it's on a big, I don't know, PK rig, that is very like you have another element of excitement or surprise now.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually kind of sick.
Yeah. I mean,
if it sounds bad, but good bad.
You know what's weird? You see that happening like almost in every genre.
Yeah.
Like kind of like the over process or stuff that's too perfect doesn't sound as good.
Yeah.
I kind of reference it like a boxing match. Like people care less about a professional boxing match than they do about a shitty iPhone World Star fight video.
Yeah.
Because there's something more like real feeling to it, more human to it. You know what I'm saying?
Viscerality of it, if that's a word.
Yeah. No, I definitely would agree. So out of curiosity, man, because I'm trying to like really break down kind of where you are now for these people. Do you think production school helped? Because I think I read somewhere you went to production school, right?
Yeah, I went to this university in Germany that was based around like pop music design mostly. So like every year when they would take new students, it would be like maybe 4 producers and then 8 guitarists, 10 drummers, 8 bass players, 8 keyboarders, 20 singer-songwriters, and 25 music business people. And then that would be like the whole class for that year. So most of what I learned there was only based on band production, because like back then they weren't that deep into electronic music production. Now they've got loads of courses on that as well. I even like sometimes when I come back to Germany, I ask them like, hey, I'm around, you guys want me to do like a little master class or something or whatever. So that's cool. Then I come around and do a little thing there. But the whole band recording thing, I think, was really interesting and helped me a lot as well, just to understand how a microphone works physically on like an engineering level, how to record a drum kit, where to place your mics, what difference it makes, where they are, how to tune a drum kit, but also how to coach a vocalist. Like when you're in the studio with someone and you record vocals, how do you make them perform good even if they have to sing the same line for the 20th time and stuff? So that was really cool. Like there was some psychology involved in there. We also had to go to other classes, like even the producers had to go to some music business courses. So we would learn a little bit about social media algorithms and how distributors work and everything. So that was super helpful for all of that. At the same time, I was still like just learning more sound design on my own at home. But that whole other part was really important and very refreshing. And then on top of that, there were all these other people who were going to the university with me who were just as nerdy as me and just as like as crazy about music, but in other fields. So you would learn just as much from the other students as you would from the university, I felt like.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, that sounds awesome. Yeah. You know, that actually sounds a lot better.
It was super nice. And it was pretty cheap as well in terms of like, I don't know how much you need to pay here for.
Almost sounds like an icon a little bit.
Yeah, kind of like that. Like we had a huge studio, all the producers could go to 24/7. We had like a little key we could go in there at all times. It was like a huge mixing console. There were rehearsal rooms for bands you could go in at any day in like a special building where you could be as loud as you wanted at any time of day. And it was like $80 a semester for the paperwork, and that was it.
Really?
So yeah. So probably spent like maybe, I don't know, 500 euros overall for 3 years.
That sounds incredible.
And like you had access to all this stuff at all times. Absolutely massive. But they had a huge entrance exam you had to go through.
Okay.
So I think for the production course, in my year, they took 4 people. I think 250 signed up.
And you were one of them.
Yeah. So then, like you sign up with like you fill out a little form, you put in a CD or a USB with some songs, send it in, and then they would select like 40 to 50 people of those to come to the university to do a written test with theory, which was actually like it was a little easier than the organ exam I did before. So that prepared me like a lot for that. So that was, again, super helpful. This stupid organ thing was like the key, apparently.
Coming back in.
But then, so we do the written test, which would be like they play a drum beat, you have to write it down by ear, or they'll play like 10 notes on a piano. They'll tell you like, oh, the first note is a C, and then they'll play like slowly. They'll play like 10 more, and you have to write down what they played. Like you can do terrible on that, and they might still take you
if your music's sick.
Yeah, because after that you also get invited to like literally a job interview with the professors there. It's literally like a job interview. So you go in there and they just ask you, where do you see yourself when you finish university here? And which is it's great. Like, what do you want to learn here? So they and then also they look at your past. If you've already established some sort of like artist profile, if you have an idea where you're going, if you already have a sound. So we'd have some people in our class, some singer-songwriters who weren't that good at music theory, but we'd still have classes about that. But they already had like a little bit of an like attitude or like a little bit of a style developed for themselves that the teachers thought was really cool and they could like build up on. So yeah, it's like it was like crazy. A very interesting way of them deciding very personally who can like profit from going to this university and stuff.
So do you think
very selective?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's sick, dude. So, like, it's funny that I'm getting a completely different picture of Virtual Riot now, seeing your background. You know what I'm saying? Going from literally, like, the piano to the organ to, like, the music school, Cubase.
To some point, and now it's all rhythm. And I don't know.
Well, no,
I don't know how that happened.
So what do you think? Do you think newer producers should, like, not be afraid to, like, venture off into random sectors of music? Because you kind of, like, dip your feet in everything.
100%. You learn so much more if you fail at stuff you don't know than if you do the same thing you're a little safer at for over and over again. Like if you, this was also a great thing about the university. Like once every semester, we'd have someone come over from some sort of music industry, like someone from Sony or someone from K-pop or whatever, and then they would just be like, hey, we need like these kinds of songs right now, like we need some blues or some country or some K-pop, and then for 1 week, everyone would just make K-pop. And just try, like we'll be given some references and we'll just do it. And there's no grading in the end, but maybe like whoever came to the university from like the publishing will be like, oh, that's actually cool. Like we might try to like bring that out or something. But everyone at the end is like a lot smarter because everyone's done something they've never done before. It's so much fun as well, just because now you get to like exploit every cliche of that genre because you've never done it before. And yeah, you've learned so much more.
No, I think I think that's sick. Drew does that a lot. Dude, even like when I picked up the MPC because I saw this guy from Atlanta who's incredible at finger drumming, I was like, dude, this is kind of cool because I'm really good at like. So I played a shit ton of video games. First off, that actually is where I learned how to get good at stuff. I was really good at DDR, Guitar Hero, and every single one of those games.
Yeah, all the rhythm games.
All the games we got to hit notes very quickly. It kind of actually taught me rhythm a little bit.
Nice.
So I started playing with that thing. But dude, just from learning that, I met a whole community of people I didn't realize were also producers. Like a huge market of people. And I'm like so glad I just had fun venturing in that thing. Or Drew when he like buys like a pocket operator and fucks around with it.
I love those. Yeah, I have the little calculator ones. Yeah, those as well. Those are sick. The chiptune one is so good.
Oh, I think we do have. Drew ordered all of them. He instantly.
Purple one, that's so sick. With rhythm games, I like rhythm games, but I felt like every time I played them, not when I was in Japan, those were sick, but when I was at home and I played them or with friends, like back in the day, I always felt like it never worked when I actually hit it on the beat musically, and I had to go fully by visual, by like when the thing comes up to the line and then you hit the button.
You must just had a jank machine. You gotta get good machines because the bad ones they'll be a little off.
Yeah, like when I went to Japan with my girlfriend and we went to like a proper arcade there, those were on point.
Have you played the virtual reality versions of those?
Like Beat Saber?
Yes.
Or something?
But
I haven't tried it yet.
Dude, before you leave, I have a VR headset upstairs. Dude, there's one where you have guns and you're in VR. And then so like you'll be playing to like a dead mouse track, but then like when the beat's hitting, you're just shooting targets to the beat. So it's like,
ooh, that sounds like
but you feel like you're in outer space. Yeah. And I have my Yamahas hooked up upstairs. So it like fucking, you can feel.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
I want to try that. That actually sounds really cool.
And if you saw me play DDR, you'd fucking shit yourself. I'm so, literally I play the hardest songs on like max level.
Okay, I see.
I don't know. Do you ever game? Did you ever game like back in the day?
Yeah, a lot.
What games were you into? Because I played a shit ton of stuff.
Half-Life 2, Portal 2, Team Fortress 2. I played a lot of Counter-Strike Source when I was 14.
Were you like going hard, like playing like seriously?
Yeah, like never competitive, but I got kicked off servers because they thought I was cheating for a while because I was just playing Counter-Strike instead of doing homework for like a long time. Then also some MMORPG, Silk Road. Never World of Warcraft.
I played the shit out of WoW.
Yeah, then Guild Wars 2, EVE Online for a while, which was really fun as well.
Which one was that? Was that that wasn't a vampire game, was it?
No, EVE Online is space, like sci-fi.
Okay.
It's like the one where it's like everyone's on one server and it's like it has like its own economy and you can like write a doctor's thesis about the economy of that game and shit.
Interesting.
It's like really.
Is that the one where they sell planets for real money? No, that's not it.
Nah.
There's some MMO that a real planet in the game sold for like $1 million in real life.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I forget.
I don't know. I haven't played EVE Online in a while. So when I played it, you could do like a tiny bit with planets. Maybe they expanded on that. I can see that. But yeah, it would be really intense. What I liked about it was though you had to pay monthly, but if you did it right after 3 or 4 months, you could pay your monthly stuff with in-game money.
Currency. Yeah.
So that was kind of nice. And also I was in this like guild or like alliance as they called it with all kinds of German people. That was like 16, and literally every guild in this game was like 21 plus sort of, just because they didn't want any kids in there.
Yeah.
But apparently they thought it was cool enough, so they allowed me. So I was in this TeamSpeak server with we had like 100 members. It was
Ventrilo. You like using Ventrilo back in the day or what?
For like
talking to each other?
Oh no, just TeamSpeak.
Oh, TeamSpeak. Yeah.
It was super sick though, and I started making music at the same time as well. So I posted some like sci-fi sounding drum and bass tracks on the EVE Online forums, and then for free downloads, and then people would actually give me in-game money as like a thanks.
Really?
Like a lot at some times. So I was just like, this is sick.
Dude, that's fucking hilarious, dude. I used to try and get Dude, I actually had some success on just randomly promoting tracks on, what was that StarCraft forum that's huge? Team Liquid.
Oh, okay.
Team Liquid had this random section. And if you knew how to do it correctly, you could essentially keep bumping your posts on that forum. And dude, you could get thousands of plays or like anything just off a Team Liquid forum. Nobody would ever think to like, because I played the shit out of StarCraft.
I played a lot of StarCraft 2, but more.
StarCraft 2 is what I played the crap out of. Yeah.
More Command and Conquer though, back in the day. Like StarCraft 2 I played a lot and through the whole campaign, but Command and Conquer I really loved.
Dude, you know what's funny? Like I look at the music industry running business. I'm like, this is like, it's a little bit harder. You mostly just kind of stick at it, or even like music. But dude, I remember StarCraft. I was like, this is like hard. You know what I'm saying? Because dude, playing people at StarCraft, it's like, dude, you move at a different APM.
Yeah.
I
was at German Gamescom on the Razer stage, and at the time I was into StarCraft 2, and then I played against some pro gamer.
Got wrecked
and got completely wrecked. It was very embarrassing.
Dude, I was pushing Masters back. I was pushing Masters back in the day. I played that game was so fun. I still like, dude, I play Smash Bros competitively. Like, I love like Smash. Like, do you remember the Melee days where people were like going crazy canceling?
I had some friends at university. Like when I went to the music production university, we'd play Smash pretty much every night, and some of them like ended up playing like 1 or 2 competitive tournaments, which was really cool. But then they just like they'd be decimating us at home, but then they would get decimated at the tournaments though.
Dude, that's me, man. I did fucking wreck all my neighborhood friends, and then all of a sudden I go and I can make it kind of far, but then there's some guy who's like regional dude comes in, just fucking wrecks me. Yeah, it's crazy. A lot of those gamers are making good money now, man. Those people I used to make fun of are like, now they quit their jobs and they're
I watched the Valve documentary about the Dota tournament and everything. That was super cool. I loved how they used Source Filmmaker to reenact like the highlight moments of the final game.
Did they? That
was so sick, because you know how they have like the Source Filmmaker thing.
No, I mean,
like they've always had like the Source engine, and then
we can remake it in the game.
Yeah, you know Team Fortress 2, right?
Yeah.
So you know all the trailers for Team Fortress 2 where it's like meet the team, like meet the heavy, meet the sniper. Oh, there's a cool story connected to this, by the way. So you know how I used the voice of the Team Fortress 2 guys for some of the songs, like Pray for Rhythm is the sniper, and then Cry Some More is the heavy and stuff. So I didn't want to get into any legal troubles, so I hit up Valve and was like, hey, I want to use the sounds from Team Fortress 2 from the sniper to use in my song. And they were like, oh, that's cool, but we actually don't own the copyright to this. It's still all with the voice actor. So you got to hit him up or his agent. So I looked him up, John Lowry or something from Seattle. And I called his agent, And I tried to like explain what I was gonna do, like if it's for a piece of music and like is a sample in there. And I don't know if he got it, but at some point I was just like $150, and he was like, yeah, okay, $150. I was like, okay, all right, let's do it. And then I found out that his wife is actually GLaDOS from Portal, like the opera singer who's also voicing GLaDOS. And then he also does Roadhog in Overwatch and all kinds of voices. Like ever since then, I started hearing him everywhere. It's so sick. It's like a voice acting power couple or something.
Yeah, that's
super
wild.
cool. That's a whole nother world with like voice acting for games and like overdubbing or something. But yeah.
Dude, that's pretty cool. Anime is like that big. Cool. Like the anime voice actors, especially like the English dub, they'll be the same English dub will be on like all the different animes.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. I've never seen anime with English dubs that much, because I would always I would always just watch Japanese voices and then English.
Yeah. So I watch sub my entire life until I start watching anime before I go to bed, and I like to flip over. I know it sounds goofy.
Yeah. Okay, that's a very good reason. I see that. Absolutely. Yeah, because otherwise you need to have your eyes peeled.
That's the only.
Or you need to learn Japanese. So.
Yeah, but no, I fuck with anime hard, man. I used
Sweet.
to anime, video games, and then music. It like I do. The funny thing is, man, I see stuff like video games getting good. You have to take it pretty seriously to get good at like a StarCraft or a Counter-Strike. That still translates, because that person that gets good at one thing, like, dude, I think you'd be a sick fucking engineer or some shit that's completely off. You know what I'm saying? And just because I think it's the mindset. Like Drew's like that too. Drew's gotten good at a lot of different stuff. Like it's almost like a mindset the person gets. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've just had like ever since I haven't had that much time to play games anymore. As soon as it's like a game where I notice, oh wow, okay, if you want to like be a little competitive about this, you got to spend all your life playing this now. Then I'm like, then I don't want to play it that much anymore. So now I'm just into like, I don't know, for example, the new Zelda,
the Breath of the Wild,
Link's Awakening or something. So more like story driven.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying, dude. Pokemon's coming out for Switch. I don't know if
you're right. I don't know. We'll see. I've heard there's been so much controversy about the new Pokemon.
Dude, it has to be good. It's like it's like red and blue style shit, but on the Switch.
Oh wait. Oh, you mean Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu?
No. They're coming out with the RPG one, the one that's like
okay, yeah. I've seen competitive for that, stuff, but they were so like I was on Reddit and so many people were like bitching about it. Like,
well, Let's Go's like Pokemon Go.
That it didn't look as good as Breath of the Wild. Like, oh, why if we can have games that were looking like that, why does the new Pokemon kind of look like ass? And then the super evolution thing where the Pokemon grew big, everyone was like shitting on that as well. But I don't know. Well, I love Pokemon.
I always have fun with the Pokemon game. It's like a nice refresher for me.
Yeah.
We'll have a Pokemon battle in the next Cymatics Show episode live. We'll have streams going.
Nice.
No, it's super interesting.
But yeah, gaming was a big part of my life.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. It's something about it. So I love the game. I want to do something in the gaming industry. Like
I would love to eventually make sound and or music for a game, but I would really want to spend a lot of time on it, like make it good. And right now I don't have the time. Maybe in like years.
Have you ever been in virtual reality?
Like I have a Vive.
Okay, so you fucked around with it. Okay, because like, dude, there's some experiences in there, like essentially music videos that you're a part of.
Oh, cool.
But dude, like with good, like really good song with visuals, dude, it's a trip. It's like the future.
Yeah.
You know, one of the bad things is just like not enough people have it to really understand how crazy that shit is. But even like designing some stuff for that.
I was wondering if you could do anything cool with like directional sound in it when you have like virtual speakers you can move around. Like let's say you have, I don't know, like just a virtual speaker just playing one note, but then like you have a couple and altogether they play a chord, but you can move them around, or just by turning your head they're going to be somewhere else, or you're walking through a corridor where there's all kinds of speakers playing different elements, but if you walk past, some come in, some go out, like all kinds of
so there's this
shit.
There's this one game that's like that, and it's not a game, it's more of like almost call it like a documentary experience, but you're going through like black holes and shit, and it talks about like all the different like logic behind that. But then one of the parts, something happens where it starts talking about sound waves, and you see all these sound waves. It's like it literally tells you to use your voice. So I'm sitting here and I start going and literally the way they mic'd it in, and then they like drenched it in reverb, and it sounded perfect with it, with the experience. And I was like, this is fucking crazy.
Reminds me a little bit about the game where you had to like sing to solve puzzles. But
Oh,
it was
what?
like a 2D side scroller, and then you had to like sing, and it would draw like there would be a big gap. You couldn't jump over it, and then you had to like sing for it to like draw the landscape. And the higher you sung, the like further up it would go. So you could like sing a slope or something to like reach a higher point. That was really cool.
Dude, what if that's the thing that takes you next level? Like a virtual Riot little mini game on your phone. Dude, look at the John Madden. He wasn't that good. I mean, he wasn't that crazy of a coach. Dude, he got fucking Madden Sports, and now he's, he made stacks.
But the like sound in video games thing is really cool. When I did the internship in Berlin at the recording studio, in one of the rooms there was a company for game sound design. Mm-hmm. So I talked to them every once in a while, and they just like showed me how the whole thing works. And like for example, if you have to make the sounds for the enemies and that you fight in a video game, they just get a list of stuff where it's like zombie and then idle noise 1, idle noise 2, the death sound, hit sound, groan. What if he dies in a fire? That's going to sound different. And then you have to like make all of those, make sure they're all like also like all normalized at the same volumes. If it's like an environmental sound, it's going to loop seamlessly. And then 60% of what you do eventually won't end up being used in the game anyway.
We've done some of that in our packs. We'll get like a Foley artist to come in and do something.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that kind of shit.
Dude, one time we brought a guy in, and it was a cymbal scrape. I didn't know the cymbal scrape sounds like that. And then when he did it, I was like, what? Because it sounds completely different than what you would think.
Yeah, if you put a cymbal scrape, if you get one that sounds like not too dissonant and you put it in a granular synth, you can make it sound like the biggest like church organ from hell. It sounds so cool. Yeah, I hope I still have the patch somewhere. I haven't used it yet. It sounds really dark.
Yeah, you can do some like, dude, even like punching or breaking. I was watching a Mortal Kombat one. The sounds they're using, and they were like squishing melons and shit.
Oh yeah, right. Oh, that must be so. Oh, I saw the video. Mortal Kombat, where he has like the video. He's making the sound to it.
It was like going viral, dude. I think that. See, I don't know, man. I think it's with the music side of things. There's so many interesting like paths. Like people, there could be. I think there's somebody watching this right now that would maybe even rather than being a touring producer, have a lot more fun doing something like that or something.
Yeah,
you know.
I see myself there in like, I don't know, 10 years if I don't want to tour anymore or something. I just want to sit at home and then just make all kinds of sounds.
Yeah. So I got a question. So, now hearing your background, it makes a lot of sense. I've heard you share snippets on your Instagram and stuff that's like dramatically different style of music than what I hear you more typically release. What do you do with that? You're not putting it out there? Because like you have some chill stuff. Some stuff sounds like Porter Robinson. I'm like, dude, where the fuck is this?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if it's Rossi's fault or what's going on. I'm like, get this shit out here. You know what I'm saying? Well, so
maybe
I'm sure
soon
maybe. So you make a lot of different genres and stuff. You don't put out everything, or like how do you decide what goes out the door?
Yeah, it depends on what gets finished. Like I'm more on the side of starting a million things and then finishing once every once in a while. With all the new melodic and like different stuff, I am definitely planning on putting that out. Just trying to like holding on to it right now and trying to find the best way to put it out. Yeah. And then like every once in a while, like the whole plan changes and then it's like, oh, but now it's like these couple of songs, maybe you make that an EP or do this or that. So but
because I remember it was like an Instagram post you were like talking about 5 or 10 different things you were working on. I was like, oh shit. I was like, I didn't know you make stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? No, it's super interesting. I like also we were talking about, now that we talk about video games, it makes a lot of sense hearing like the I think it was a Hanzo sample in Dragon.
Oh yeah,
dude, Dragon was nasty. I think I first heard it on the Disciple page, and I was like, what?
I replaced the sample and I tried to reenact it for the release version so that we wouldn't get any copyright claims. And it is terrible. Don't listen to it. It is absolutely crazy.
Oh, there's another version of it out there?
Like the version on Beatport has me doing the Hanzo sample.
You did it?
It's terrible.
What is he even saying? I forget. It's like...
Ryuga wakateki wokurao. Which is a very old-fashioned...
That's how he says it, though.
Very old-fashioned Japanese way of saying, I think the dragon consumes you or something.
Oh, really? That's crazy. You play Overwatch?
Too? I used to play it a lot. I used to play like a fuck ton of Team Fortress 2, and then switched to Overwatch when it came out. Kind of. I was the soldier main, so then on Overwatch I was Pharah main.
Okay.
It was really sick. I used to play a lot with Matt from Barely Alive. We used to like play online every once in a while, but I haven't had time anymore.
Dude, I get it. You know what's funny? I look at that stuff and I'll usually indulge for like a weekend, and then I'll be like, okay, I got to get back to work or something. But I love taking time to. Dude, Farah's, that's stupid. Jordan's back there. He's just float on stage and fuck people up. And such an interesting game, though.
Yeah,
for sure.
Really good sound design as well. incredible dynamic engine on the sound design as well, like in game, when you like how it prioritizes certain sounds over others depending on what is happening. Like for example, if you know how like sometimes they'll just have some side chaining, like if there's like you have like the kill streak noise in Call of Duty or something will be playing, and then everything else ducks a little bit or something.
Oh, does it? I didn't
So they have like a built-in compressor, like literal plugins running in the back, like just like your plugins in a DAW.
Damn.
They'll have a reverb plugin that'll like reverb all the sounds that are being triggered right now depending on what space you're in or something.
Well, I guess even like moving would be panning. They're doing something to like just pan the audio around
exactly.
you.
So there's all kinds of dynamic processing going on, but then the one in Overwatch goes by like the priority of sounds and the loudness of sounds go by how much of a threat level it is to you. So the footsteps of the enemy closest to you will also be like played louder than any other footsteps or something.
Oh.
So yeah, it's really
crazy.
interesting. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
or like if someone's like triggering their ult and they're closer to you, it'll be louder. Or if you're in a spot where it's more dangerous to you, so that's really cool how it how it works.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And if you go with the sound cues, it makes the game a lot more easier and gives you an advantage. A game where that's a lot more subtle was Left 4 Dead, where like you know how there's like these zombies that are a little stronger, like the smoker and boomer and so on. So those all have a trigger sound once they spawn. Like if they spawn somewhere in the distance and you're about to run into them, as soon as they're spawned, they play a little theme. And every zombie has its own theme. Like the boomer is like a really low dun 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 dun, which sounds like a fat guy kind of.
Dude,
like
the witch, man. I remember being a kid playing in the dark, and like we were kind of like me and my friends, like, dude, the witch would be like just crying, and that music would play. Dude, that game was amazing.
That was so sick.
I like Left 4 Dead 1 better than 2 because 1 felt more like.
But I just love the aspect of like when you listen to the music more, you could tell what was going to come up, and you could prepare more. Like you would just hear the sound effect that like a smoker was around the corner, so you could tell your friends, okay, wait, no, that's probably a smoker.
Yeah.
So that would like improve your gameplay. Actually,
Yeah,
I thought that was sick.
So do you think like I see you do this a lot, you know, kind of infusing these little things that are kind of like so for example, I don't listen to dubstep or like heavy rhythm that much. I listen to fucking that song because I main fucking Hanzo.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Yeah.
But so I have this weird connection string, and I kind of feel like that happens with remixes sometimes and infusing pop culture. Do you think that's good for producers to maybe gain some traction by latching on?
Yeah, 100%. I think that is definitely a good idea to just, get your stuff to go viral, I guess.
Not even worry about
100%.
stream revenue or something like that, just getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I think who did the Dreamland remix? That was
Kirby?
the Kirby
There
Dreamland.
was a Mutrix one that was really good.
There was one that was really
old.
heavy that came out.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I know it. But yeah, that stuff's great. That'll do a lot for you.
That shit pops on Instagram too. You should do more of that little Instagram clips like me and Drew do sometimes.
Yeah, everyone like sometimes I'm like I'll watch like a meme compilation and then there's like a funny noise in there or like I don't know an animal making a funny sound and then I'm like I'm gonna like turn this into a sound real quick. But then every time I do it, I feel like that's probably already been done.
Well, dude, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
like you know, I mean, dude, people would love to hear you take Mario Bros and just drop it into something crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and then you post that and you give it to the fucking TikTokers, and the TikTokers go off with it. You know, shit like
yeah,
that.
right. Yeah, you were talking about that.
Dude, we're about to go take VR to TikTok. Sweet, Jordan. What are we looking at on time? Oh, dude, this came out fire,
Wow.
man.
Time fucking flies.
Yeah, time flies when you're just chatting. And surprisingly, this is a very like easy and productive hour and a half. Like you'd be surprised how productive sitting around shooting the shit is if you just record it. You know what I'm saying?
I think we went through some good stuff today.
Yeah.
Very proud of ourselves.
Dude, you know what I want to do in this episode? Maybe edit it back in. Dude, if we gave away even like 5 sounds and said, I see. So the thing that makes episodes pop for us is when we email out, and we say, hey, we secretly put a link somewhere in the episode randomly. So you got to watch it to see it for five sounds or something like that.
That's
People go
genius.
crazy.
That's cool.
We're gonna dig through those projects, get some Virtual Riot secret sauce.
Just like a wave, like just samples, like
5
samples
presets.
or
People
presets.
5 presets. That'd be sick. We'll hide it in the episode. Maybe just edit something in.
Because the presets might suck because it's all about the post processing.
Oh shit. We'll see. Some secret sauce. Something. But yeah, dude, hiding stuff in the episode, I realize is the best thing. People try
That's a
to
good
people
idea.
try to go in the comments and say, "Oh, it's right here," and then dude, literally Jake, Jordan, me will just like mod comments. Everybody's like, "Why has no one said it?" It's just like we're keeping an eye on it, just like
Genius.
deleting comments and shit. All right, dope. Well, dude, I got a couple things I want to ask.
Yeah.
Don't answer just yet because we're gonna do something real quick. But one of the questions is, you got $500, a laptop, and 10 amazing songs, and I want to hear what you're doing for the next 30 days to get your name out there in a world where nobody knows Virtual Riot.
Yeah.
Right. I think stuff like that. I want to get a couple other production questions in, but what we do is we keep a small portion for SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Music. So like the YouTube portion will cut. You know what I'm saying? But before we end, I guess two things. One, what do you want people to know and walk away with Cymatics community? What do you want them to check out? Socials, projects you got going on?
I guess stay tuned for like all the melodics and different stuff.
Yeah. You also got packs. I'm sure, stuff like that.
Oh
producers.
yeah, right. Yeah.
You are a pack guy, by
We've
the
got
way.
we've got a pack. We've got a pack coming up. We haven't even talked about it.
Yeah. You could talk about it a little bit.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I made this drum pack with Pat from Modestep, which is really cool and is incredibly useful. This is like actually a good example for I don't want to be like, yeah, this pack is sick, but it's actually like I wanted to make it a useful pack for like not just dubstep, just like really good drum fills and really good drum one shots that like I actually use myself because I think they turn out really nice. And it was also a cool. So we spent like a weekend in the studio recording drums in all kinds of different ways. Like just making like a normal setup, then putting the kick drum sideways as a low tom, making like a cinematic setup with as many toms as possible, making some like cinematic tom loops and all kinds of one shots. And that was actually a cool way for me to apply what I learned at university with like recording bands.
Yeah.
For like the first time out of university, like how to place your mics, how to process room mics and all kinds of stuff. So that was really sick.
Hell yeah.
And I think that stuff turned out really well. And then to like round it all off, there's a few bass shots and bass loops and glitch shit in there too, and some synthesized kicks and snares.
Sweet. You got a name for it yet or no?
Huh?
You got a name for it or
It's just
still?
spicy rhythm drums.
Oh, okay, cool. Spicy rhythm drums. You heard it. Keep an eye out for that when it drops. I'm sure people will be excited. What? Oh yeah, and like while we got him here, we're gonna be blasting through different content ideas. So I'm gonna doing something like a 10-minute, like putting you under a little pressure time clock and recording it.
Okay.
Project. You say that you're gonna bust down 2 seconds. I already know,
yeah,
man.
fine.
And then, I don't know, a couple of the project breakdowns would be cool, sound design, quick things. We're going to be doing some videos like that, so be sure to go check that out.
Yeah.
And, and the last thing is, we always do a giveaway. So we're giving away 5 $100 Cymatics gift cards. All you got to do is comment your favorite moment in this episode, and always timestamps definitely help us. So then we can find those golden moments, and we'll get those clips and post them on social and stuff, and it really helps us. And other than that, we are cutting to the audio-only section